Dear student, myself Rajendra Asari, I am Assistant Professor in Computer Science Department at Government Bangat PG College, Didwana. In previous lecture, we started a concept on transaction and management system. Under that topic, we covered various concepts like ACID property, then how to ensure the isolation and concurrency. So in order to implement the concurrency, we introduced a concurrency control mechanism. In that topic, we covered a log-based protocol concept, right? So up to this point, we discussed about isolation property. Means whenever there are more than one transaction in a schedule, then in order to ensure that isolation property is preserved, we need to just see that there are no interference between the instruction of the transaction. Now concurrency control, it is just basically used for ensuring the isolation and consistency in the database while performing more than one transaction in parallel manner, right? And just previous lecture we started log based protocol. Now in log based protocol, they were having two mode. One mode is shared mode and second mode was exclusive mode. But there were some pitfalls in that log based protocol. What are those pitfalls? So with help of one example we will understand this, and then how to overcome these pitfalls by introducing some new protocol we will be understanding or learning in this lecture, right? So suppose in this example there are two transaction. Hello. In this example, there are two transactions in transaction T3 and T4. So T3 is having some operation and the lock corresponding to this is exclusive lock on item B, and at the end the exclusive lock we are applying on the item A. Similarly for T4 transaction, we are applying a lock in shared mode on item A. After that we are reading that item and then applying the lock on another item, that is B, in shared mode. So step by step we are learning. Suppose in T3 transaction, first instruction is we are acquiring the lock on which item? Item B, and in which manner? Exclusive manner. So we can perform read and write operation on this item B. So we are reading this value B. Suppose the B value initially is 1000, right? Now we are performing an assignment operation, B equal to B minus 50. So this 1000 value will be reduced by 50 and the updated value is 950. Just operation we have done. Now we have to update this B value in the database. How to do that? With help of write operation. So the B value will be written, so with help of write B. Now B value is 950. So T3 transaction completed. Now we are going in T4 transaction. In T4 transaction we are acquiring the lock first on item A in shared mode. After that we are reading the item A value, okay, and then we are acquiring a lock on item B in shared mode. Then we are switching back from T4 to T3 and we are acquiring a lock in exclusive mode on item A. So in this scenario, in this particular example, log based protocol is implemented, but there are some pitfalls in this particular log based protocol. What are those? So in this example, neither T3 transaction nor T4 transaction can make progress. Why? Because they are waiting for each other. This condition is called as deadlock. Deadlock means suppose there are more than one transaction in a schedule or in a system or database. So neither the transaction T3 nor T4 can make progress in this case. Why? Because executing the shared lock on item B causes T4 to wait for T3 transaction to release its lock on item B, while executing a exclusive lock on item A, which causes T3 to wait for T4 to release its lock on A. Such a situation is called as a deadlock. Now to handle a deadlock, one of T3 or T4 must be rollback and its locks should be released, right? Now some pitfalls continued. Now the potential of deadlock exists in most locking protocol. Means in most locking protocol, deadlock might be occur. So deadlocks are a necessary evil, we generally say. Now starvation is also possible if concurrency control manager is badly designed. For example, a transaction may be waiting for an exclusive lock on an item while a sequence of other transactions request and are granted on shared lock on the same item. So the same transaction is repeatedly rolled back due to the deadlocks. Now concurrency control manager can be designed to prevent the starvation problem, right? So now we are introducing a new protocol called as the two-phase locking protocol. Now, what are the meaning of this two-phase protocol? So there are two phase as the name implies. This protocol which ensure conflict serializable schedule, right? What is conflict serializable schedule? A schedule in which we can convert that particular schedule with help of various swapping of various non-conflicting instruction, and we can convert that schedule into a equivalent serial schedule. Then that schedule is called as conflict serializable schedule. Now in phase 1, in two phase locking protocol, phase 1 is called as growing phase and phase 2 is called as shrinking phase. So growing phase means transaction may obtain the lock, transaction may not release the lock. Because it is growing phase, it means we will keep on issuing the locks. So transaction may obtain the lock, but transaction may not release the lock. Phase 2, it is called as shrinking phase. Transaction may release the lock, transaction may not obtain the locks. Now the protocol assures serializability. It can be proved that the transactions can be serialized in the order of their lock point. That is the point where a transaction acquired its final lock, right? So the protocol which assures serializability, it can be proved that the transactions can be serialized in the order of their lock points. That is the point where a transaction acquired its final lock. Now the two-phase locking protocol. In this locking protocol, it does not ensure freedom from deadlock. Now cascaded rollback is possible under two-phase locking. Why? Because to avoid this, follow a modified protocol called as strict two-phase locking protocol. What is happening in this? So here a transaction must hold all its exclusive locks till its commit or abort. Means once we hold any transaction hold the exclusive lock, then it will hold all those lock until the transaction will commit, fully committed or aborted. Now rigorous two-phase locking, it is even stricter. Here all the locks are held till commit or abort. In this protocol, transaction can be serialized in the order in which they commit. So there can be conflict serializable schedule that cannot be obtained if two-phase locking is used. However, in the absence of extra information like ordering of access to data, two-phase locking is needed for conflict serializability in the following sense. How? Given a transaction, suppose Ti, that does not follow two-phase locking. Now we can find a transaction Tj that uses two-phase locking and a schedule for Ti and Tj that is not conflict serializable. So how to implement? So there are some lock conversion. In two-phase locking with lock conversion, first phase what we are doing, we can acquire a lock in shared mode on a particular item. We can acquire a lock in exclusive mode on an item, and after that we can convert a lock from shared mode to exclusive mode. It is called as upgradation, right? Second phase, we can release a lock in shared mode, we can release a lock in exclusive mode, we can convert a lock from exclusive to a shared mode. Exclusive to shared mode is called as downgrade, right? Now this protocol assures serializability, but still it relies on the programmer to insert the various locking instruction, right? Now automatic acquisition of locks. A transaction Ti issues the standard read and write instruction without explicit locking calls. Now the operation read of D is processed as if the transaction Ti has a lock on D, then we need to apply the read operation on the data item D, else we need to begin another process. If necessary, wait until no other transaction has a lock, exclusive lock on that data item D. After that, we will grant TI a lock in shared mode on the D item and then read the data item D and then end this protocol. Okay, so in this manner we can automatically acquisize the locks, right? Automatic acquisition of lock. First was for the read operation and this second algorithm is for the write operation. Now write of D is processed as, so in this write algorithm, if the TI transaction has a lock, exclusive lock on item D, then if the transaction TI has a exclusive lock on the item data item D, then we need to apply operation write on data item D, else we need to begin another procedure. This procedure says if necessary we need to wait until no other transaction has any lock on this particular data item D. Now if transaction TI has a lock in shared mode on the data item D, then we need to upgrade the lock on D to exclusive lock, means upgradation of the lock from shared mode to exclusive mode if the transaction TI has already lock in shared mode on the data item D. Else we need to grant TI a lock on the exclusive mode on the data item D. Then we need to finally process the write operation on data item D and then the procedure will be end. So all locks are released after commit or the abort. So in this lecture we discussed the pitfalls of the lock based protocol. In lock based protocol, deadlock condition might arise. Deadlock means all the transactions are waiting for each other to release the lock. So no transaction can proceed its operation. This situation of infinite waiting is called as deadlock, right? Now starvation also possible in lock based protocol. Starvation means here in case of concurrency control manager, when it is badly designed, then starvation can be possible, right? So the potential of the deadlock exists in most locking protocol and we used to say that this is a necessary evil, right? Now concurrency control manager can be designed to prevent the starvation. Now we introduce after that we introduced two-phase locking protocol. In that we discussed growing and shrinking phase. In growing we are obtaining the locks but we are not releasing any lock. The just opposite phase is shrinking phase, in which we are releasing lock only but we are not obtaining any new lock. Clear? So there are some lock points are there, that is the point where a transaction acquired its final lock, right? Now in two-phase locking protocol also there are some variations are there. First variation is strict two-phase locking. In this we are applying a transaction which hold all its exclusive lock till its commit or abort, and some more rigorous two-phase locking protocol is available which is even more stricter than the strict two-phase locking. Here all the locks are held till the commit or abort operation has been done. So in this protocol transaction can be serialized in the order in which they commit, right? Now in locking conversion we convert the lock which were initially in shared mode and we converted into exclusive mode and vice versa, right? So after that we discussed two algorithms, first for read operation and second for write operation. Okay, so that's all from this lecture. Thank you.